9 Bay Area hospitals went into their emergency response plans. Among those was San Francisco General, which took initially the most injured, the most critically injured, including 10. Elyce Kirchner joins us live now to give us an update. This is we're talking top-level trauma center and really the only one in the city.
Yeah, and tonight, Jessica, 1 child and 5 adults remain in critical condition here at SF General, but many injured passengers have already been discharged. We spoke to one of those passengers who told us that this crash could have been a lot worse.
It is a miracle, I think, that so many people got out.
Ben Levy is one of the lucky ones who walked away after Flight 214 burst into flames at SFO. The 39-year-old happened to be sitting at an exit row when the aircraft crashed.
I was just like telling them not to scream, not to push each other. You know, I was telling them to get out of there. A lot of people looked so confused and traumatized, and some people didn't understand English either. Lots of Koreans in the plane, so a lot of teenagers and older people.
Levy and more than 50 injured passengers were taken to San Francisco General Hospital, one of several area hospitals that admitted patients throughout the day. In total, more than 50 were brought here. Saturday night, 6 still remain in critical condition.
The most critically injured, some of them had burns. And then from there, folks had broken bones, head injuries, spinal cord injuries.
The San Francisco resident can't believe the injuries were not worse.
There was no warning, no call from the captain, brace for emergency landing or, engine failure or anything, nothing.
Absolutely incredible. And Levy's wife was actually supposed to be on that flight with him, but she decided to come home early to care for their 2 young children here in San Francisco. Meanwhile, hospital officials tell us more injured passengers should be discharged shortly. There'll be yet another media briefing here first thing tomorrow morning. For now, we're live in San Francisco. Elyce Kirchner, NBC Bay Area News.
All right, thank you, Elyce.
It's a big business, but it's also a big risk. Putting your pets on a flight can be deadly. It's a problem we exposed nearly a year ago.
Now, investigative reporter Elyce Kirchner joins us with another incident that a pet owner is sharing for the first time publicly. And it's a story she was almost not even allowed to tell, Elyce.
No, and that's because the airline involved asked her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. But pet owner Janet Sinclair felt the public needed to know. We should warn viewers the details and images are graphic. She claims her animals were kicked, left out in extreme heat, and nearly died. And she documented the alleged abuse.
They offload Sedona, and I watched this man kick her crate 6 times. Kick it, kick it, kick it, until it's under the wing of the plane.
It was July, the dead of summer. Relocating from California to Boston, Janet Sinclair says she chose to fly on United Airlines because of its Pet Safe program. According to the airline's website, the program ensures pets receive personal handling in climate-controlled vehicles and never will be exposed to temperatures greater than 85 degrees for more than 45 minutes.
They assured me that my animals would get a comfort stop, a safety stop in Houston that I paid extra for.
Extra so that her dog Sedona and cat Alika could have a break from flying and stay healthy. Before the trip, Sinclair says her pets were examined by a vet and given a clean bill of health. But once in Houston, she saw this. The animal's crate sitting out on the tarmac in 90-plus degree heat. From the plane, she pulled out her cell phone and began periodically recording.
It's 4:06. The animals are still sitting on the tarmac as this man is about to load luggage. It's 4:25. That's the fuel truck. 4:58. They're having air conditioning troubles and they had issues with the seatbelts. Doors are still open to cargo. At 4:58, we still sit here.
Those problems on board caused more delays. 3 hours after landing in Houston, Sinclair says she finally boarded another plane for Boston. But once again, there under the wing were Sedona and Alika.
I said to the flight attendant, we need to get my animals off that tarmac. They're not supposed to be on the tarmac. They're supposed to be in an air-conditioned van.
When they touched down in Boston, Sinclair says Alika was severely dehydrated and Sedona was barely alive.
I am so sorry. Please forgive me. And Sedona's entire crate was filled with blood, feces, urine. Sedona was in full heat stroke. All of her blankets were filled with blood. She was urinating and defecating blood. She was dying, literally right in front of me.
Her dog spent 3 days in the intensive care unit. Medical records show Sedona suffered a heat stroke, blood clotting, and a urinary tract infection, problems she suffered during her United Airlines flight. The cost, nearly $3,000. Sinclair wanted that money back. In this letter, United argued the animal had a pre-existing health condition. Still, the airline agreed to pay if she remained silent. The investigative unit requested an interview with United. The airline declined and released this statement, in part saying, "We regret that Sedona did not have a good experience. We offered to compensate Ms. Sinclair by fully reimbursing her vet bill. But unfortunately, she declined to accept the terms of the agreement."
I mean, the only reason I can do this interview is because I didn't sign that, and I won't sign that.
And she's even taken her frustration to social media. Within 24 hours of launching this Facebook page, thousands began supporting her cause.
I still want to be reimbursed, but I'm not going to be quiet.
He spent almost 4 hours in that plastic kennel in conditions well above 85 degrees.
In the last year, the investigative unit has talked to other pet owners who've lost animals and uncovered that more than 300 pets have died, been injured, or gone missing in the care of airlines.
You have to go public. You owe it to travelers, to passengers, to pets.
Kelly E. Carter is the president of the JetSetPets.com and a best-selling author on pet travel. She says non-disclosure agreements are common, but more importantly, shipping pets can be a gamble.
Really think about it long and hard. Is it worth it for me to check my family member has baggage?
Who's a pretty girl?
Today, Sedona and Elyce are settling into their new home. Still, Janet Sinclair is waiting for the airline to take responsibility.
It cost me $2,700 to save my animal's life. For God's sakes, reimburse me and apologize.
Now Sinclair was able to get United to reimburse her the nearly $700 she paid to ship her animals. Meanwhile, by law, within 45 days of an incident, airlines are required to report when a pet is hurt, lost, or dies during a trip. We checked the Department of Transportation's website, and so far, it hasn't been posted. We also discovered that it's common practice for United to require that a pet owner who files a claim sign a confidentiality agreement. Roz, just bottom line, if you're going to ship your pet, know that there are risks.
Unnerving for all of us pet owners. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Elyce.
Right now at 11, poisoned parks. We investigate pot grows and the impact to wildlife. Good Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janelle Wang in for Jessica Aguirre.
And I'm Raj Mathai. It's part of the marijuana debate we don't hear about. Trashing our national parks, killing wildlife, and tainting our water supply. This is all happening on land that taxpayers are paying to protect. Investigative reporter Elyce Kirchner traveled across the state to expose these problems caused by many pot farmers. Elyce.
Raj, there's been a lot of talk about the legalization of marijuana, but our story isn't about what's being grown, but how and where. Many growers are trespassing on national parks and on tribal land. They're using highly toxic pesticides to grow pot. The effects are real and deadly.
Flying high above some of the country's most well-known national parks.
Yeah, that's not going to be on this road.
Sequoia and Kings Canyon, just south of Yosemite. But look closely and you'll see it. Thousands of acres on or near U.S. Forest Service land used as marijuana grow sites.
It's a huge problem. It's almost an epidemic in our community.
An epidemic with destructive effects that now goes beyond the politics of pot.
So what we know is there's a massive use of toxicants out there.
I know that they're specifically targeting animals. Anything that can kill a bear is going to kill me as well.
It's not what they're growing, but how they're doing it that's wreaking havoc on some of California's rarest species and most precious resources.
Here is well over 1,000 pounds of marijuana.
This is the new ground zero for marijuana cultivation in California.
454 grams.
So far this year, the Fresno County Sheriff's Department has identified more than 500 grow sites and seized more than 2,400 plants. And roughly 500,000 plants were found on national park land statewide. Other sites were discovered just outside public land.
How far are we from federal land, public land?
Just over that hill.
Lieutenant Rick Coe heads the Marijuana Eradication Task Force for the county. We followed along as his team discovered shotguns, ammo, nearly 300 plants, and the poisons used to protect them.
Natural?
Absolutely not. Fertilizers pesticides and other things are placed on this to make it grow like this and to protect it.
Protecting the plants, but harming wildlife.
So it was found on our public lands.
This was a 5-year-old Pacific fisher, one of only 300 left in Northern California. Scientists at UC Davis found this one suffered an early death near Yosemite last month.
These are rare and elusive animals.
He's part of a population scientist Murad Gabriel discovered has been exposed to an illegal form of rat poison called rodenticide.
How deadly are these chemicals?
They're acutely poisonous.
So strong, a 1/4 teaspoon can kill a 500-pound lion. Pot farmers are using 50 times that on a single plant to keep animals away from their crops. Gabriel has found 86% of the fishers he's studying have been exposed to the poison. 6 have died so far.
All right, got a signal already.
With the help of Mark Higley, a wildlife biologist on the Hoopa Valley Indian Reservation in Humboldt County, they tag the fishers and set up cameras to track them. We hiked into one of those recently abandoned grow sites where we saw the trash.
You'll see cans and things.
And poison left after growers finished the season's crop.
You could deplete a whole prey base in an area. So many species are dependent on. Northern spotted owls, fishers, Humboldt martin.
Last year, a government task force spent $23 million hunting down and seizing marijuana plants on public land in California, but little funding is set aside for the cleanup, and that could have effects even beyond the wildlife for years to come.
What happens when it goes downstream?
Basically flowing in with the water, and then it's picked up by those species that can use it the most readily.
Well, I don't want to drink out of the creek now and come home and not wake back up.
Hoopa Valley tribe member Dawn Blake lives on the reservation located near Eureka. She believes it's only a matter of time before toxicants in the water could make those in her community sick.
Marijuana operations are potentially destroying the landscape.
They're killing the animals and they're killing the forest, and they don't care.
Hikers like Rick Fleming fear the water issue could affect them as well because of the proximity of the grow sites to water sources. He's part of the High Sierra Volunteer Trail Crew, a nonprofit dedicated to cleaning up what growers are leaving behind.
You know, they're completely trashing the place, and if we can go in there and safely pick it up and get it out, then great.
It's a green rush.
A green rush for marijuana instead of gold at a cost to our environment.
And it doesn't just impact our state. These are our national treasures. These are our national forests and our national parks.
And just this week, Senator Dianne Feinstein urged the Environmental Protection Agency to step in and help fight the environmental damage caused by pot grows in the Central Valley. But as you just saw, it's not just happening there. It's happening throughout the state. Elyce Kirchner, NBC Bay Area News.